and showing him about how our business works. And the husband was hesitant, right? And the wife in front of him, right in front of him on Zoom, was like, he just likes to be told what to do. And the dude was like, my colleague told me that the husband turned to his wife and was like, seriously, seriously, and she was like, it's true. You just like to be told what to do. And dude, so think about this though, guys. Think about this. And for all you guys that are watching out there, really analyze this.
Every topic is a good topic, but I like to see the passion when I bring up certain topics for some people in this group. And I'm super excited what you got to bring to the table. Man, so I was thinking about it and the education system, and because we've had this conversation a couple weeks ago, and it comes up every once in a while, but we've never really recorded a conversation about it and talked about it, us three. And I think we should talk about the education system and really how it's a business. Honestly, I mean, you think about just kind of, it's different now, right? Entrepreneurship is more accepted. That's almost a more popular thing, or it's changing, it's transitioning. But for such a long time, it was so taboo to do anything else but go to school, get your education, and take that route. Um, I'm pretty sure we know why that is, right? I know, Morgan, you got all the statistics, but why do you think that is? Or what do you think really, like when I say like the education system's a business, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Either one of you guys.
Go ahead, Morgan. I'll piggyback.
Uh, man, my mind's like racing right now. I don't know, man. It's just with it being a business, I think about like where we started off back in the day, and then why it is that so many people are employees now, and why like there's this stereotype of you have to go to school. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna preface because okay, whoever's watching this is gonna probably think like, man, Morgan's crazy. He's against education. He's against being an employee. He's against like all these things. I'm not against them. It's just I know what I want. If someone else wants to get an education and become get a doctorate and stuff like that, that's cool. I'm not against it. That's totally awesome. I think education's super important, but I think we need to understand the system, right?
But really quick, Morgan, I want to add too, because when you say that, when people who are watching might think that, dude, you've done it all though. It's not like you were, like a trust fund baby. You got all this money and you just like went into entrepreneurship and started your own business and succeeded, whatever. It's like, no, you've done everything else. You went to school and then you were an employee and you've been in corporate life. Like all this stuff you've done, the stuff you're talking about is stuff you've done. It's not an opinion on something that you have no idea about. You're just judging other people. It's like, dude, that was my life. Like for years, I went through it. All this stuff. So it's not just to add that in. It's opinion because you went through it. Like I can't talk about college, so that in corporate life, like I don't. That would be different if I was saying it. But
yeah, no, and I appreciate you bringing that up. That's a good point, and I didn't really think about that, but I think that's probably why I'm so passionate about it, because so many people haven't had all of the experiences, and so they've never seen both sides. They only see one side. So I don't know. I think like we grew up like years, centuries ago, and everyone was an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone like hunted for their food, so everyone was an entrepreneur. And then now all of a sudden there was this huge change during the Revolutionary War. Now all of a sudden it's no. You got to be an employee. You got to work. You got to get your benefits. You got to go to school to get a degree. But I mean, quite frankly, we talked about this before. I think it's a load of crap. Like I really do. Like get an education if that's what you want to get. It's good to educate yourself. It's good to be intelligent, learn a lot about different things. And I think maybe one of the reasons why it's such a huge push is because back in the day, there were people and certain scenarios that they weren't allowed to learn. And so I don't know if maybe that's why it's such a huge push now, right? Like women who weren't able to vote, right? Or all these different dumb laws that used to be in the world back in the day, that now it's like, now that they get the opportunity, it's like, no, we have to. And that's honorable. I get it, right? Like, that's cool. That's honorable. But I just think people need to understand, like, there's a reason it's set up the way it's set up,
Mhm.
right? There's a reason. And it is a business, and people don't think about it as a business. And so they just think like it's the end all be all. The only way is to get an education, right? The only way is to get an education and go to school and spend, you start at like 3 years old to go to school, right? Preschool, whatever. And if you go and get your PhD, doctorate, you become a doctor, whatever, you're not done until you're like 30, 35 years old. That is literally like over a third of your life that you're in school. You don't think someone else is profiting from that while you're busting your butt, not making a single dime throughout all those years? But there's other people that are making a crap load of money off of it. So like, it is definitely a business, and people just don't even realize like what they are doing. And then I just think it's a bunch of BS. Like, so many of us graduate, and then what do? Oh, we're on the low end of the totem pole, and everyone's cool with it. It's normal to them. Why? Because everyone else is doing it. Everyone tells you, get an education, go to school, and work your way up. It's okay if you start at the bottom in a career. Like, I just don't get it. And then they get crap loads of student loans, right? Student loans. They're up to their neck in student loans and debt. And then they get a job making 40 to 50, if they're lucky, $1,000 a year. Who can live off of 40 to $50,000 a year in California, right? Maybe if you're in like freaking, I don't know, Nebraska and Arkansas, I don't even know, but like, not in California, not in any of the coast on the east or west coast states. You can't live like that,
Mhm.
right? And then we've seen it, because in California, how many people are leaving the state, right? Like in our church, right? How many youth, how many younger adults, how many young families are leaving because they can't afford it? They
Yeah.
graduate and then they're like, frick, I got to go to Utah. I got to go to Nevada. I got to go to Arizona because I can actually somewhat survive and have
Mhm.
a family. But they can't in California. Why? Because it's so dang expensive to live now, because inflation, everything's going up, the cost of living. But what's not changing are our flipping salaries, right? Still making that measly little 40 to 50 grand a month, or sorry, a year. And then all of a sudden they're up to their neck in debt, and they can't even survive. And they're still trying to pay off their student loans, paying a crap load of interest. It's ridiculous, man. It's a broken system. And the crazy thing about it is that they don't even require a financial education. So they're literally getting you into all these financial issues, giving you a crappy salary where you can't even survive. And then they don't even teach you what to do or how to get out of it or how to become successful when it comes to financial matters. They don't even teach you. So what the flip? Like, why do we even have this education system? To learn 3.14 equals pi? Like, dude, I've never used that in my flipping life. And it's so stupid, some of the things that they have us learn, but yet finances, money is connected to everything. Someone once told me one time, I was like, tell me one thing that money's not connected to. One thing in some way not connected to. And you can tell they're like thinking, and I knew where they're going to go. I knew they were going to go to air, right? Air is free. I can breathe it whenever I want. And I was like, no, it's not. I used to work in a healthcare facility. We had to pay for oxygen tanks. We had to pay for a stupid tank filled with oxygen to be able to give it to one of the patients. Why does that cost money? But it did. Air costs money. So there's nothing in this world that is not connected to money. But yet, one of the most important things in our lives to be able to be successful, it's a necessity. We have to have it. That's the way our world works. The education system doesn't even teach us how to run it. It's ridiculous, man. I get so fired up about this flipping topic because people don't think for themselves. We just go through the motions because people say, just go get an education. That's what you're supposed to do. But for what? For what? For the end goal to be us in debt, barely surviving, having no idea how to run our finances? Stupid, man.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
So,
There's a lot of people. My bad, Dylan. Sorry. There's a lot of people that they just kind of go with the crowd. That's the thing. I mean, most people do, like, so, it is what it is. It's somewhat normal. So just like now, you see more people in entrepreneurship, and especially like it was already, being popularized, but now, especially since last year, so many people lost their jobs. They were forced to have to figure something out, and they were forced to, I'm not gonna bring up any businesses, but they're forced to do certain things and sell and all this stuff. So it kind of went back to this like primitive way of making money, like how it used to be, for everyone, because it's like, dude, I can't leave my house. I need to figure out how to do this, or I need to figure out how to shift my business into, bringing the food to them or whatever. And so it changed the game. And now people are just, now that things are going back to normal, they're still doing it the way they're doing it last year. So I think we see even more like a bigger push now. But the fact that the reason why I'm bringing it up is because wherever most people are going, that's where most people are gonna follow. So now with entrepreneurship being the, I don't know if it's yet the cooler or more popular option between the two still. But you definitely hear a lot more about it now. It's cool to do that, and you see people putting entrepreneur in their Instagram bios, and not hating, like, I get it, you do what you do, right? But it's the same thing. I think we just have to have our own mind, because even though like whichever one is more popular, that doesn't mean it's right for you just because most people do it. Like, you could really be good, like, nah, dude, honestly, I am really good at school, I'm smart, and like I want to go that route. It's easy for me, whatever I'm going to school for, or whatever I want to become, I have to go to school for. Like, obviously there's situations where it just depends, like it's left or right. It just, or you can do both, but you just have to make sure it's your own personal path instead of just following someone else. Because, dude, regardless, man, even if your parents tell you to go to college, that you have to go, or if they tell you that you have to be an entrepreneur because this is an entrepreneur family, if someone else is choosing for you, it's not, your life is just, you're not going to be as happy. So sorry, Dylan, my bad. I think you're about to say something. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was just gonna add to Morgan's point, like, it's kind of like two parts. So one can argue that a job, right, in which you get through education is to keep the population broke, right? To keep us oppressed. And there's very few jobs where you can make a ton of money. And at that point, you're still have no life, right? Now, granted, like, we still need employees, like if you start your own grocery store and you have no one working for you, you can't manage a grocery store by yourself. You're gonna have a line out the door for your one register. So we still need employees. So playing the devil's advocate, if we didn't have employees, what would happen, right? But like what Leighton said, the problem isn't the problem is people are just following what other people do. They're just sheep. If you want to be an entrepreneur, then be an entrepreneur. But I can't tell you how many people I talk to that are like, oh, I got a degree in, I don't know, psychology, and I'm in IT now. Like, what the flip? Like, so many people are getting degrees and aren't even getting into the field they got a degree in, but because they have that piece of paper, they're able to get the job. Makes no sense to me. Elon Musk talked about a school he wants to create where there's no grades and there's no pretty much you learn what you want to learn. Like, if someone's interested in auto mechanics, you go to school for auto mechanics. If you're interested in, I don't know, math, you go to school for math. If you want to be a construction worker, go to school for construction. So depending on what the children's likes are, that's what they learn about. And I thought that was really interesting because you think about it, the statistics of the successful entrepreneurs usually didn't do too well in school. They're not used to following a quote unquote boss, right? Telling them what to do and how to learn. But they are thinking outside of the box. School is not thinking outside of the box. So to me, I think the education system, and it might be very controversial to some people, is screwed up big time, because it's like, everyone, you have to learn this way, but not everyone learns that way, right? Like Morgan, Morgan and you, Leighton, I mean, you guys know, we work in the business with people, and you can't talk the same way to everyone on your team. You're going to lose people.
Mhm.
You have to talk according to their needs and to their personality, right? Like you guys star, right? So if in the business world we know that we need to talk to people a certain way because they retain things in their own way, then why is school set up one same way for everyone?
Mhm.
It might sound weird, but it's literally set up for failure. And it's only set up, the ones that succeed are the ones that are most likely the least apt to be successful as entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
because they are used to being told what to do, and this is it, this is how you do it, follow this.
Mhm.
They're good employees, right? But if they want to be entrepreneurs, then getting an education through the system is the worst thing you can do. Because I'll tell you this much, I worked in air conditioning, and there were people that came out of college for air conditioning. There was a guy, I won't say his name, but he came out of college, I think it was 4 or 5 years of college for air conditioning. And then there's me, who has 4 or 5 years of experience, and I trained him. Okay. So he went to all this school for what? I had all this hands-on experience. That's the school system. That's entrepreneurship. Like, you just hands-on, you learn, or you're told every single detail what to do. And then now when you're in the field, you're like, now I have to learn, because I know all this information that I don't even need to fill my head.
Mhm.
So I literally think the school system is to keep people broke.
Mhm.
Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. And honestly, like, again, just to preface this, there are certain professions that you have to get an education and you can
Sure.
do well in, right? Doctors, lawyers, whatever. And that's fine. And I think people need to understand, because I know someone's gonna take this the wrong way and be like, oh my gosh, look at what they're saying. But
Good.
no, all we're trying to
Yeah.
show is that if you want to be in the education, if you want to get an education, higher education, go for it. That's fine, but just understand it is a business. Like, understand that there's also an ulterior motive for the school.
Mhm.
It's not just, oh, let's just be nice and get you an education so you can be ready for the world. Like, no, there's a reason. I've talked about this before. There's a reason why they push placement, why they push you to get an internship. Yeah, to help you, but at the same time, the higher their rates are to be able to get you a job, placement is what they call it, the higher that, the more kids are going to want to go to that school. Because, man, if I go to that school, if I get into that program, it's a 98% chance that I'm going to get a job out of college, right? And so what happens? Boom, the floodgates open and everyone starts going to that college, right? There's a reason why. It's all a business. There's why do we get in trouble if we freaking don't go to school when we're in high school
Mhm.
or elementary? Because the school system gets paid off of the kids going and actually being there in attendance. Why do they take attendance? Because they get paid for it. They get paid for the students being at their classes. It's not just because they're like, okay, well, let's see if little Johnny came to school today and make sure we track his progress. Yeah, I'm sure it's part of it, but the other part of it is also funding. So, like, people need to understand, like, it is legitimately a business. It's not just me just saying this because people think I'm crazy and this is my ideal or whatever. It is truly a business. And so they have to run it like a business too. So just understand that and understand, what is it that you want. If you want to be an employee and you want to get a higher education and you want to work for somebody, cool, then do it. But don't come here and be ignorant to the fact and talk crap about other different types of things if you don't even understand what you're doing. That's the one thing that bugs me. Like people talk smack about certain things, but the one thing that they're talking crap about, deep down, they're actually in it, right? And we talked about this about the whole pyramid scheme conversation, right? So many people talk crap about those things, but they don't even understand how they work. They've never looked into it, and yet they're living in a pyramid scheme when they get a job as a corporate system. So the one thing that they're talking the most crap about, they're living it and they're just blind to it, right? Because why? Because the easiest way to oppress people is to do it subtly that they don't even realize that they're in it, right? Modern day slavery, debt. Debt. So what does the school system do? Oh, what does the government do? Come get student loans. You don't have to work when you go to school. Here, we'll help you. Then all of a sudden, tons and thousands of dollars of debt. And little by little, boom, they don't even realize it. They're just getting chained, right? Boom. Their wrists are chained. They can't do anything anymore. And now they have a job where they don't even make enough money to provide for their family, to live on their own, and to pay off their debt. And so what? 30 years down the road, they're still paying off their student loans because they don't even know how to get out of it because they have no job that's going to pay them enough to do it. So again, people just need to realize, and one of the last things I'll mention on this is yesterday I was having a conversation with some of the people in the office, and there was a guy in particular that there was an appointment, right? And one of the guys was a husband and wife, and they were talking about the business and talking about entrepreneurship and stuff, and showing him about how our business works. And the husband was hesitant, right? And the wife in front of him, right in front of him on Zoom, was like, he just likes to be told what to do. And the dude was like, my colleague told me that the husband turned to his wife and was like, seriously? And she was like, it's true. You just like to be told what to do. And dude, so think about this though, guys, think about this. And for all you guys that are watching out there, really analyze this. Back in the day, we were all entrepreneurs. We had a hunt for our food, right? Now, how many, like if you're a man, if you are a man, right? And you're told that you like to be told what to do, like that's a shot to the freaking, like, you know what, right? Like,
Life, especially.
dude, especially. But here's if someone else says it, it's like you're about to go fight that person. It's offensive.
Yeah.
But the wife says it, and it's like it's such a shot to your manhood, because then all of a sudden you're like, frick, dude, am I that much of a freaking pansy? Like I really do like to be told what to do by another man or another woman, right? Like they tell me when to clock in, they tell me when to go take a lunch break, they tell me when to clock out, they tell me if I'm working too hard because I have overtime and I can't pay you overtime, so now you got to clock out on time. I like all these things. They tell me when I can take a sick day or a vacation day. Do you like to be dictated and told what to do? So it's crazy. When people get jobs, they don't think about this stuff. And they're just like, oh, okay, cool. But then all of a sudden, your wife freaking calls you out and shoots you like that. And all of a sudden, it's like, holy crap, man. Like, that's a shot to my manhood. Well, how many of us men out there are freaking doing that? Like, we're just a bunch of pansies being told what to do by a boss, right? And we don't even think about it. But if any man was honest with himself, any man out there would be like, that's a freaking shot to like my manhood, right? Like, I'm a freaking man. Why do I need to have someone at 40-year-old, right? Like a 40-year-old, some other person telling me as a 40-year-old what to do, right? Like, are you kidding me?
Dude.
Right? Like, dude, that's like man, we were talking about that last night, but yet what? We're blinded. We don't want to come to reality and like actually like open up and be like, frick, dude, I do like to be told what to do. That's why I'm an employee. That's why I went to school. Well, how many of us in school, when the teacher gives directions and they don't give all the directions, like, oh, but what's the essay on? Like, I need to know a topic. Like, I need to know, right? You like have to know exactly what to do. They have to like spoon feed you the whole way, right? So anyways, I don't know if I'm like going crazy and it's not making sense, but it's just things that I'm like super passionate about. That again, be an employee if you want to be an employee, be an entrepreneur if you want to be an entrepreneur, go to school if you want to go to school, get educated, that's great. but don't be ignorant to the fact that you are in a system that is making someone else money and it's a business. Don't be ignorant to that fact, right? Just understand. So,
Oh man, dude, I was like you could tell. Obviously, I started chuckling at a couple of those things because it was just it's so real, bro. Like it's so real. Um, because I think we don't really break it down like that, and it just I couldn't even imagine being in that Zoom meeting, like oh, like on the other end of the computer, how awkward that would feel, and then also, of course, being the husband and like just like what did you just say? Hold on, close his laptop, but like. Oh man, but dude, that's crazy. But it's real though, it's true, man. So I like the fact that we're able to have these real conversations and share stories like this because for the people to watch, I mean, we get to go through these things without having to actually go through them. And so it's just all learning, you know, sharing knowledge and sharing stories and just having real conversations that people may or may not want to actually have. Like they're kind of like they tiptoe around it. So I'm just always thankful for you guys and your willingness to you know, we just come up with the stuff on the fly and we just have conversations, just let it go, and we just share things, man, because I learn a lot. So this was another one for the books.